2, 1. Oh, fat fingers.
When the politicians keep politicking, before you turn to excessive drinking, spend some time collectively politinkering with the show where I don't know, man. Cause the truth is, I don't know, man. 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 I don't know, man.
Hello, my little snowflakes. This is Sean O'Brien. Welcome to Politinkering. With me today is Sean Faw.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
I'm well, sir. How about you?
Getting
Do you want to applaud yourself?
Not really.
Okay.
It seems, I don't know, egotistical or narcissistic or something.
Well, I mean, I could just hit it.
You can hit it. I can't
too
hit it
far.
myself. Yeah, it just feels weird.
Hit it. Just applaud. You know, you're getting applauded. It's fine. It's too. There we go. And of course, we also have Mr. Joey or Joseph Bonnier.
Hello.
Bonnier or Bonnier? I always said it right.
Bonnier.
Okay, so I did say it right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm opening up this show, guys. Sean was nice enough to do it, to let me at least. Well, I don't know. I don't know if this will be a thing. It might be. But we've been teasing.
Is it niceness or laziness?
It could be a little bit of both. I don't know. The fact of the matter is I have a question. That's the key.
Yeah.
All right? I'm the one with the fucking question this time. I'm so tired of not knowing what the fucking thing is. I need to do some preparation. Ironically enough, I wanted to prepare for this episode, but I apologize because I didn't.
Yeah.
I sat down and I thought about it myself. I answered the question within myself, but all the reading that I wanted to do, all like the research that I had, I didn't do. So I'm sorry. I can't answer some of those questions. But I do have the one question that I asked myself, which I'd like to ask you guys.
Right on.
Okay.
What is art?
Art?
Art.
Art.
What is art?
I knew a
How
guy
do we
named Art.
define art? You knew a guy named Art? Was he beautiful or was he ugly? Is there a difference between the two? I mean, is that what determines something to be art? Does it have to be beautiful? Does it have to be interesting? Does it have to incite the kind of passions, as it were? Is there a way to differentiate good art from bad art? Is there a way to differentiate bad art from not art? Are they all the same? Did Shakespeare exist? We're not going to go there.
Thanks for throwing that in.
We're not going to go there. I can sort of give you guys my take to break it down, but let me just hear some riffing first. Sean, what do you think? What is art?
Like the Supreme Court definition of porn. I know it when I see it, sort of thing.
What do you mean you know it when you see it?
Well, first off, I mean, to growing up in a Midwestern blue-collar sort of situation, the term art always seemed to be like a four-letter word. I'm dyslexic, so that makes sense to me.
Wow.
It's like the idea of being an artist just is not even something I can comprehend. You know, I have a very, I'm sure, skewed view of what art is in general. But,
Well, give it to me. What is it?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know, man. It's sort of indefinable.
Okay.
It's.
Give me an example of
Well,
something.
you said you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm certainly very broad in what I would allow you to consider art, but what I consider
Oh, okay. So
art,
it would be up to the person presenting whatever
exactly.
this is as
Yeah.
art.
And quite honestly, I tend to think money should not be involved. So the idea of the pursuit for the pursuit's sake, once it becomes commercial, then it's just that commerce.
So then does it,
Okay.
do you then remove the title of art and become something else?
I think so.
Once money is
I think
involved?
you should. I
Okay.
don't think that society necessarily agrees with me, but I do draw a distinction.
Okay. Is it the second money is there at all?
I mean, there is the this sort of people got to eat and shit.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I mean it's true. Like, right? I mean, if you,
So wait, hold on. Is this the idea of the professional artist? Is
Well-
that something you have
I think that's kind of what I do have a problem with, the idea of, once you are a professional artist, I think there really needs to be some other term for that. You're a designer, you're a manufacturer, but I mean, I do have this sort of innate feeling that art needs to be for the sake of art.
Well, it could be for the sake of art, but I mean, if you're going to go there as far as the monetary exchange of art, then all you need to do is define the value. So you put some sort of quantitative value
Worthless
onto
until the artist is dead.
Well, no, even still, right?
Yeah.
If somebody walks by and sees it and desires it, then they can, in theory, put a monetary value onto it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And whoever owns it, whether the artist is alive or dead, it doesn't matter. They've attributed a value to that artist in some sort of monetary way. So
Certainly.
So they might have created it for art's sake. It might still be art for art's sake, and yet it has value, and thus the value has real-world consequences, i.e., some sort of quantitative element of it.
And when it's an art dealer selling it to another douchebag, then that's, the commerce end of art. But I don't think that inherently the artist is due the enrichment from that.
I don't understand what you mean.
The to me, to be truly art, it needs to be the end goal itself.
Oh, sure. Okay. So you're still sticking to the fact that once you add money to it in any capacity, it is no longer art. So it might still have been art for art's sake, whatever, but it's just something else.
Right.
You like coming up with like an idea for something that like you just need to redefine what this thing is.
Yeah.
Like it's still art. We agree it's still obviously art.
Yeah.
But you're like, I don't want to call it that.
He has his own version of it. He's got a fenced-in version.
That's the life of a hermit. What can I say?
Fair enough. Well, I guess we'll address that in a second. Maybe I should start fucking writing these down. Joey, while I'm looking for a pen, please tell me what you believe art is.
I think that I would say art is humans making something that other humans can consume, and it has to be something either intellectually stimulating or pleasant to observe, visually or auditorially or some way like that. I guess maybe that's not quite broad enough in some ways, but that's probably...
It might be too broad at first. Can you describe the pleasant element of it?
So
does it
Yoko
have
Ono's
to be
not
pleasant?
art?
Wait, what is not art?
I said Yoko Ono is not art.
Well, that's not pleasant to me, but it's pleasant. It is pleasant to her fans.
I doubt it.
I don't know how it's possible.
But it has to
either.
be pleasing to somebody.
It's pleasing to somebody. Maybe it's pleasing intellectually to them. I don't know.
Okay, so but that's an important point.
True,
we have like what's a good example? Picasso's Guernica, right? Is not an attractive painting, and yet it's not beautiful in any capacity. Or even like John Cage, right?
That's
to bring your music example.
That's a better example because Picasso actually is pretty beautiful. Guernica is, I would say, even
I think so
objectively beautiful.
Well, it's beautiful, but it's horrific.
Yeah, but I'm saying John Cage is...
I know, exactly. That's why I brought it there. And to clarify, do you want to explain John Cage?
Sure. I forget, is there... What's the actual name of the song? Do you know?
It's 4 minutes and 27 seconds.
It's just a number,
like yeah, it's whatever, it's the duration of the song, quote unquote.
Exactly. So he came up with this song, and it's just silence. It's just you listen to 4 minutes and whatever of silence, and that's... the art, I suppose.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, and this is similar to another thing we talked about earlier, Sean O'Brien, which is Empire, right? Empire is the Andy Warhol experimental video, if you will,
okay.
Of just the picture of a frame on the Empire State Building for I don't know how long.
Right.
It could be an hour or so, and you just watch it.
I think it was like 15 hours long.
Yeah, it might be crazy. He just left a camera on it, and then that's a film.
Yeah. So is that art? Regardless of the fact it's not pleasing.
That's just douchebaggery.
I think it's art.
You think it's art?
I do.
What then? Can you break down the elements of it that are art? Because it's not. It's clearly not pleasing.
Because I think if it's an attempt to make you think about concepts like what is art, then that's good enough to qualify.
Oh, sorry. So the question in and of itself.
The question in and of itself is definitely one, but I also think it brings up other questions too. Like if you're sitting in silence for 4 minutes and 26 seconds, you're thinking of something deep. Whereas if you're going about your day, normally you wouldn't be thinking about these deep questions.
That kind of brings up Dadaism.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. and there's another example I loved. I was thinking about earlier, and I forget what it was, but it's in New York. Maybe you know what this is. There was a crazy art exhibit that or a statue or something.
The Gates.
The Gates.
In Central Park, yeah.
Yeah, and people couldn't, no, not the Gates. I think it's something different. It's something where like they couldn't get past it. Like there was a walkway, and then everyone on their way to work wasn't able to get to their work on time. They had to
that's funny.
like walk like 10 minutes out of their way to go around this art installation.
I vaguely remember something.
And
like
people
that.
were like, "Oh, it forces you to think about
Right.
art during your day." And they're
Forces
just like,
you to be late
and
for
they're just
work.
like, "Fuck, we gotta get to
Exactly.
work." So I don't. They took it down, by the way.
Well, you would. I mean, I guess that's interesting. You would be thinking about the piece, even though you would be like, "Fuck that fucking piece in the middle of
Yeah.
fucking Fifth Avenue." What the fuck, man?
Yeah, I don't know.
But
If
still,
that's,
you are thinking about it. Has incited some
Yeah.
sort of element of it. So at the very
Could you just machete through it?
machete.
no, it's like marble, Sean.
Big machete.
But so okay, so you said that there's an element of the pleasing, but that's sort of moot. But also just thinking about it at
I
all.
think it's moot.
If somebody's no, I didn't say it's moot. I just meant you negated it afterwards,
Okay,
right?
I see what you're saying.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be pleasing.
yeah. Go. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Continue.
Your walking around the wall thing was pretty specific.
Yeah,
point.
no, I wasn't dismissing it. I was trying to clarify exactly what you would say you
You're
think
right.
art is.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on that? Like, what else do you think? Is there any other way to define it, or maybe perhaps what differentiates non-art from art?
I don't think the commercial would disqualify it. I think that's one maybe differentiation I have with Sean
Okay,
is that I
once
think
money's involved.
Yeah, I don't think that once money is involved, it's not art anymore. I just think an artist should be paid for his time like any other person who's doing something for other people.
Okay.
It is a service in some ways. Not all the time, but I mean, if you're listening to some music or you're watching a movie, you're being entertained for an amount of time. So that's something worth that time. And
You said doing it for other people. So that sort of steps into the fact that somebody commissioned the installation,
or they're consuming it.
whatever. Okay, cool. Got it. I wanted to clarify
Art has
that.
to be consumed. I think.
Got it. Okay. So if there is an audience member who's paying for it, it still doesn't disqualify it from being art.
Yeah.
Sean?
I still feel like you should have a day job.
I guess why though? Take me through this. What is it that
I think it's sort of a byproduct of leisure time. So it is something that is an extra added bonus to the human experience, certainly, and can be uplifting or depressing or whatever it is. But I think that art itself is not an intrinsic enough contribution to society to demand retribution for it.
got it? Okay.
So, I mean, I certainly understand, there's, we work in the film industry. So a
Yeah,
lot of
I
people,
find this very ironic.
well, that's the thing, though, because I don't consider most of us artists. I consider
Okay.
as craftsmen, which is a little bit different way to go about
True,
it.
but Sean, you've created stuff. You haven't just operated a camera or whatever. You've created art.
Right, and I have never received money for that. So.
Well, that's just
He's still philosophically sound.
Yeah.
That's just unfortunate.
No, most people don't. It's not until you
Okay.
get into that corporate system that you actually start making money off of
But you don't
things.
feel like you deserve some money for your contribution?
No, not just for the random content,
If
especially not
people
for.
if thousands of people on YouTube were consuming your video that
Mhm.
you made, you would want some sort of contribution or some sort of compensation, I guess is the better word.
Oh yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but again, then that becomes a business, that becomes a product that you're selling rather than just art itself. I just kind of had this base feeling that art is something that is existing for itself truly. Anything outside of that is commerce. And so for you to be compensated for your materials, I can certainly understand that, but then that gets into the idea of a commission-based system. And so that is something that you're doing for someone else, and they probably have some input on that. So to me, that is sort of, again, negates that concept of this being true art.
So
and
you
an expression
wouldn't
of
view like a great Renaissance masterpiece as art because it was commissioned by a king?
I do have some issues with that, certainly. Yeah.
Really? You're saying like Monet and those, not Monet is probably impressionist.
Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Sistine
Yeah.
Chapel.
Yeah, no, that is certainly commercial art. I mean, that is.
Well, you said commercial art though.
That is a
Still art.
commercial endeavor, certainly. I mean, it
Okay.
takes artistic integrity to do that, but he wasn't putting every brushstroke up there. He had a team of guys working for him.
Mhm.
So if at some point it essentially just becomes a giant paint by number system where you just have sort of skilled laborers creating this thing.
But what is that thing? How is that
Isn't
not
that a-
art?
Yeah, I think I don't differentiate this product with the art. I think the art is the product. I think that's okay. And some people will sell it, some people won't, but that's their choice. I don't
Well, I guess more specifically, what is it that you? Well, actually, let me take a step back
Mhm.
first. just because this will be a sort of a philosophical fun loophole to see if you're to throw this out there, and then because I really do want to get into the first question though, as far as like what do you call them? What do you differentiate? What is?
Oh yeah, we don't have to spend all the time on my stupid theories.
It's a wonderful theory. No, it's an interesting theory that I haven't really heard before, literally ever. Because anyway, but it's funny. So you were saying that society itself is operating as something else. You still need a day job, right? I'm going to reference Karl Marx for a second, who literally kind of had this view that everybody was an artist at their core, and whatever they're doing, that sort of passion, that thing that they want to do, is their art. And that's kind of, and whatever that thing that they want to do, we can foster that, and that will create the best possible society, because everybody will be aesthetically fulfilled, I guess, in a way. Right. So whatever craftsman you are, whatever job you're doing, quote unquote, is their art. So it completely blends exactly what you're talking about. And it anyway, go ahead. What would you say to Marx?
So you're trying to make me agree with Marx. Yeah. I see how it is.
No. You would specific. No. It would actually just confirm exactly what you're talking about, because in other words, it would just say that everything that people are doing, if they have passion behind it, whether they're being paid or not, is art.
I would buy that in a really broad definition of art, so there's artistry in turning a wrench properly. There's artistry in, taking pride in
it's also
your
their
work.
That's the key. It's their passion. It's the pride in the work. Okay, so that's fine. Now, so that philosophical distinction is out of the way. That still doesn't answer the question.
But Marx couldn't envision a world where we have assembly lines, or maybe not in the extreme.
Not Henry Ford style.
Yeah, we can make a house without any artistry. It's just paint by numbers, if you will.
Certainly.
But I think what Karl Marx is saying, is that anyone who made a house back in his day actually was kind of putting his own stamp on it and being sort of artistry.
Obviously, I don't know the source, but I thought that was to mean that anyone could be, not that anyone was.
Exactly. The idea. It was a theory. It was the idea behind it. He wasn't claiming that anybody making a house is by nature an artist. He was claiming
that idea. In fact, I might even agree with that idea.
Take passion in whatever you do. No,
because if you hate making the house, then you're not doing your art, whatever your art is. That's the distinction that Marx would make there.
Okay. Maybe I would tweak it. I don't know if I kind of like that idea. I think he still is making his art, I would say. But
it would be his art. He might be making art. He just might not be making his quote unquote art. He might not be aesthetically fulfilled, basically, because there's no passion behind it.
I guess so.
Does that make sense?
No, it's true, but then someone could still consume it and appreciate it as art.
No, certainly. It's not a question of whether or not the house itself is art. It's a question of what I was drawing the distinction between was this commerce and art thing that Sean's talking about, right? The difference between those two things.
Okay.
And Marx was saying that there is, within the commerce, all of that is art in a utopian communist society. Everybody would have the capability of doing
what they love.
Right, whatever you love.
I see.
Would be what is aesthetically pleasing to you in a weird way, whatever your passion is. So if you hate building a house, then and you actually liked, gardening, then the gardening is your art. Building the house is not your art.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I still like it. I like both of them. I like this idea.
Sure. Okay, cool. So Sean made that distinction, but that still doesn't answer the question, because you still do draw a distinction between this art for art's sake thing, this other thing that you know what I mean? Tell me about what that is. Take me through an example of that.
Yeah, no, I guess my biggest problem is just like the idea of the whining, starving artist. The idea that, just because you're creating something, you feel that there is an intrinsic value to your time, even though you have no respect for the audience that you're trying to sell things to. So, the idea that if your art's not selling, then you're not making good enough art to sell, so fuck off.
But no, I still want to understand what the art is. You said that there is this thing, this entity that exists that is art for art's sake. Once you attribute a value to that, it becomes something else.
Because I think it taints the process. So once you are looking to make art to sell, once you are looking to profit from it or even live off of it, there becomes that idea of trying to please your audience, which I think takes it out of the realm of art and into the realm of consumable goods.
What if that never happens, though? What if somebody continues to make the exact same thing? Okay, let me give you a different example, okay? Let's just say there's a guy who just continues to write thing after thing,
Mhm.
or a painter who kind of continues to create piece after piece,
Sure.
and his partner, spouse, whatever, sells the pieces, right? He thinks that he's going to store them because there's just too much in their shitty studio apartment on like Fifth Ave or whatever. Or I guess it wouldn't be Fifth Ave; it'd be like somewhere in Alphabet City. And so or I guess Williamsburg.
Ooh, local reference.
Right.
Crazy East Coast bullshit.
Right. But the artist thinks that he or she is taking this, whatever. You can let's just say it's a girlfriend.
Mhm.
The girlfriend's taking the pieces out to be stored, but actually what she's doing is she's selling them.
Yeah.
She's selling them. And it's completely unbeknownst to the artist.
Mhm.
So everything that he's still doing is still the same. It's still all art. Nothing changes whatsoever.
No, I think you can, create a bubble world where someone can exist there, and then in that world, yes, he is creating art, and then it is being stolen from him and sold on the black market.
I'm not trying to presuppose. I'm not trying to create the world. I'm trying to make it draw the distinction that you seem to be making between this. And what you said is that the distinction is because the process is tainted. So you're saying that if the process is never tainted at all, it still remains art.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's a matter of perspective. So like I said, whatever you want to call art, I will certainly allow you to. But to me, my definition of art is different. So to that artist, to that person that painted that, that is certainly art. But once it goes to his wife or, husband or whatever that is, then that becomes a consumable good, and that becomes trade. That becomes, just a...
So to the girlfriend, it's trade. To the...
Right.
Even if she, even... So we could even argue that, let's just say the painter is very good, but he's kind of mediocre at his core, but the real genius is actually the girlfriend.
The marketing.
No. I'm saying the real genius in the relationship is the girlfriend who every time she takes the piece and says she's going to store them, she adds this little touch, this little thing. I don't know what it would be. Let's just say, for example, just she grabs her paintbrush and she does this one, just a little tweak of it that gives it that je ne sais quoi, if you will.
Sure.
And she goes and she still sells it though, but the art becomes better and she's making money off of it.
To me, that's exactly what taints the process. Then, so she's making that tweak to his art because that's what sells.
Well, okay, let's say she's not tweaking it because it sells. She's just tweaking it because it makes the painting better, and it just so happens that it sells.
I mean, it's really hard for me to disentangle those two ideas.
But what if it is disentangled in her mind?
I mean, that's justification, and sure, you can have a multiple personality where one of you thinks you're an artist and the other thinks you're a business person.
There is a real world example of this. It's filmmaking. It's writers, right? Writers will originally have their idea thinking that it's pure art, and then it gets tainted along the way by some writer's team.
That's corporatocracy.
Yeah, but that's still kind of that goes along with his philosophy in the sense that
one person
art
thinks
for
it's
art's sake.
Yeah, it is art for art's sake, and then becomes somewhat of more of a commerce thing, I think.
Yeah, but you were saying earlier that you don't agree with that either.
I still think it's art.
Right. It continues to be art.
You can defend me if you want to.
No, I'm defending his logic, but I still think a movie like that, the end product is a movie, and a movie is still art. I don't know. If you're going to tell me that movie is not art, I'll be surprised. But
yeah, he would very much say that, I would say.
You would say a movie's not art.
By his definition,
definitely
absolutely.
lean that way. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, of course.
There are artists involved.
That's why I'm trying to clarify. Exactly.
I get it, but I just think that's a little strange opinion. I mean, Sean, you love
especially
art.
given my
movies.
station in life. Well, no, that's the thing. I have very little respect for the term art. So that's I come.
Maybe you have a lot of respect for it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would say usually the opposite.
You have
it seems
extreme
like you have
respect,
complete
for
reverence for it.
I suppose. Yeah. I mean, the glass is half full, half empty, whatever.
No, you're saying that there is this otherworldly, almost like Plato's forms thing that is art with a capital A that doesn't that does exist.
You're putting up on a very beautiful pedestal.
Right.
Art,
which is ironic, of course, because Plato, kicked all the fucking artists out of the Republic, so he had no interest in the artists whatsoever.
I mean, to me, to classify as truly art, it needs to be like the truest expression of humanity, or the truest expression of what it is to be human.
Okay.
So that is what classifies as art. Everything else is commerce. So you can still have a day job. And
can we get some examples? I want to know what you think is.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you like? What kind of stuff? What do you consider art?
Okay, so that's
Who's an artist?
I have no fucking idea.
Is there any
Um,
musician who's an
I-
artist?
It
I
might
would-
not even
oh,
exist
so-
in your world.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
That'd be
it's-
amazing. It'd be great.
So here's my
You're like a fucking modern day Socrates. You're like, there is this ideal. There is this ideal that exists.
There's
it
a
is
perfect
intangible.
artist
There is a
somewhere.
word for this thing that we don't have. Sean's like, I'm going to find that word. What do we call the space in between the hole of a straw? We don't have that. We call the straw, but the straw is just the plastic. What is that place in between? What is this fucking art that you're talking about, man?
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so my relationship with art has always been disdainful. In the last couple of years, a couple of years ago, whatever, I made my way over to the Getty Museum in LA,
That's a shame.
and not a fan.
Continue.
Okay, this is like my biggest.
I'm not a huge fan of it,
okay.
no, but
It's not the best museum.
yeah, that's all it was.
I
But
have-
go ahead. Sorry.
I've certainly not spent a whole lot of time in art museums, but it all just kind of washes over me like nothingness, and everything is pretty uneventful until I saw Van Gogh, the Lilies, I think it was. It's one of those.
Probably Monet, I think.
No, it was definitely Van Gogh.
Okay.
Obviously,
There is a Van Gogh exhibition there, actually.
At least it was a couple of years ago. I
Okay.
don't know what, but that was like the.
Oh, the lilies. I'm sorry. I was thinking of water lilies.
This
But you're
is a
thinking like
thing?
the lilies, the calla lilies.
Yeah, it was like
Yes.
blue and shit, right?
Wow.
Monets are blue as well, but sure, go ahead.
Okay, right on.
Continue.
You can really
either
paint a
way-
picture with your words.
I'm an artist.
So Van Gogh. Van Gogh.
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. So that was like the first and only painting that had ever struck me as art.
Holy shit! Like in your life,
for the I've never like I don't go to
and
art
you don't
museums,
remember what
like,
it is?
Well, I mean, it was.
It's
while.
okay.
No.
I'm just.
Well, you got to find it and put it on your wall. or
Yeah,
something.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like, it's one of those things that you've seen hundreds of times in reprints and things
Sure.
like that. But that was like the first time that actually seeing something in real
Joey, you want to
life
look it up?
affected me
At first,
differently.
I thought it was Starry Night. I don't think it's.
No, it's not
Starry
Starry
Night's in New York. That's in the MoMA.
No, but like I said, it's the first time that like
I think I know what you're talking about.
seeing
though.
it in person had an effect on me, and that's the guy.
Let me see.
That's
It's a picture of flowers. They're actually lilies, I suppose. They are blue and
Yeah,
shit,
and it's Van
as,
Gogh.
as Sean says.
but yeah, the thing that you don't see in pictures is the three-dimensionality of it,
Sure.
and
Texture, they call that.
Sure, whatever.
I'm telling you, they call it texture.
If those artists want to call it texture, I'll let them call it texture. But no, I mean, and that just gave it a completely different dynamic, and I saw it in a different light for the first time, and that was the really first and only time I can recognize having seen something I would call true art.
Got it.
Whether or not from what I know of Van Gogh, I assume he wasn't doing that for sale. He was
Okay,
kind of a nut
I got-
job,
No,
but-
and if I'm not mistaken, he painted this in an insane asylum.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's
probably why
I
it
could be
resonates with
wrong,
me.
but it's in the later period.
It has this one white flower on the left. It's unique.
Yeah.
What do you think that symbolizes, Sean?
I don't give a fuck.
Oh, the meanings. We'll delve into that in a bit. Okay. So you have this conception in mind that there is a deep-seated need for humanity to understand itself, and something that can get at the core of that becomes exalted in your mind for art. But it is only for art's sake. Once the second you step into a commerce, either before or after the fact, well, I'm sorry, does the piece know? In other words, that piece is fucking worth money. The most important piece in the world.
But then it's because it's a
you.
commodity now. So that's again a
so
different situation.
from Van Gogh's perspective, it still is art. From
And-
our perspective, though, it's not art, though.
like I said, once the artist is dead, the value is certainly whatever it needs to be. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean it is certainly truly art in the sense of the artist, and
In your
It-
worldview, though, this painting is no longer art
um
because it is valuable. It has value.
yeah, well, no, I mean it's traded as commerce. It's
But even if it never was traded as commerce, it still has inherent value.
no, it only has value because we think it has value. It's as valuable as that canvas and that paint. Like
Well, we'll get into that for sure. there is some sort of emotional value ascribed to it. If that painting sat in a dark room, for since the day it was painted, and then literally just you walked in and saw it, you're the very first person to ever set eyes on it. That experience has value.
Yes, but I guess I go lean towards the communist in that aspect, where those type of things should be in a museum for everyone. I don't think that it's kind of the idea of pricelessness. There shouldn't really something so important, if it is really truly art and intrinsic to the human experience, it should be so expensive that you can't sell it.
Well, but you still said it should be so expensive. It just means that there is.
Well, that's the idea of pricelessness.
Almost unattainable. Well, you got to be careful with pricelessness, because pricelessness could also mean worthlessness.
True.
You know what I mean?
And to me, I see that as being, symbiotic.
Okay. Well, right. So yeah, then that's what I'm saying. But nevertheless, there is value, inherent value that you've emotionally felt upon your experience of that painting. Right. So, but I guess perhaps are you hesitant to put a monetary value on a person's experiences?
Certainly, yeah.
I understand. Okay, so that's the distinction that you're making.
Once it becomes monetary, then it becomes contrived.
Right, like how do you put a price on love? How do you
exactly.
put a price on the beauty felt of that? Okay, cool.
Totes for real.
Cool. Joey, anything before we move on?
No. I mean, I want to say that you should probably go to a better museum than the Getty. I think honestly you should. I think there's a better, especially even in LA, the LACMA is really good. I think. Have you been there? I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's some great exhibits
love
there. I mean,
really?
we got to see the Kubrick exhibit. That was good. I'm sure.
I missed that. Actually,
the Getty's got a train.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, the Getty is very pretty. It's natural wise, but it's just the museum's a little lacking.
Yeah, it really is, man.
Also, if you're into cars, there's the automotive museum. There's a museum.
No,
that's not an art museum.
Across the way.
Yeah.
It's not an art museum?
Yeah.
I think
you're right. I guess it wouldn't be in your world.
Yeah, in my world, that's total commerce. A celebration of commerce.
I think a Lamborghini is a piece of art. I definitely think. No? Okay.
No.
I mean, I agree. I'll get into it in a second. To wrap that element up, it's kind of interesting. So just to give you guys some sort of historicity of the philosophy behind art, we had Plato started off as far as the question itself. He didn't like art, didn't think there was any place for it in the world, artists, whatever, mostly because he had this idea, and you kind of you fall on Plato's side, which is very interesting. It's weird. And Freud, for that matter, actually. Where there's the idea of the forms, okay, this unintangible form, a cat with a capital C, right? Anything that is the most feline like cat, and then we have underneath that is the idea basically of that,
like archetypes, basically.
Sort of, yeah, exactly. And then we have the real world objects, so the actual feline cat, and then we have the art, which is mimesis. The Greek called it mimesis. It was just a reproduction of a thing in the world.
Mickey.
A picture of a cat.
A picture of a cat, exactly. And the reason that is kind of should be disqualified and shunned from the Republic is because it gets away from the exaltation of the forms, like understanding the forms, the ideas themselves.
Now, this is just
themselves.
Plato?
Yeah, basically.
And
Plato.
Freud said this too?
Well, no. So Freud agreed with the element much later on, obviously.
But similar,
right?
I'm curious.
No, it was more so that Plato's distinction, the reason that they're so similar is that Plato's distinction was the fact that, so the concepts was, the philosophy element of each person, right? The brain, and then we have the kind of central element of it, which is the body, and then we have the base, which is, your dick, basically, and those passions, those deep-seated, horrifying passions.
Reptilian.
And that's where art comes from in Plato's mind, and in Freud's mind. So it was the distinction between those two. And of course, Freud also broke down, the id, the ego, and the superego, and the id itself is the passion. I think that's right? The id is the passions.
Sounds about right.
And so for both Plato and
isn't
Freud,
the ego?
No, I think ego is the you, and then the superego is the conception of you,
right.
and it is the
right.
base thing. I think I'm right. I don't remember, but anyway, Aristotle came along after Plato and said sort of the same thing, but also was okay with art. And ironically, of course, Plato was an artist, and Aristotle was not at all. I don't remember exactly what Aristotle's whole deal with art was. I'm trying to remember. He more studied it than he did anything else. But he said it was kind of okay that it was a base expression. And I'm sorry, that's what it was. For Aristotle, it was catharsis. It was catharsis. So it wasn't a digression from life. It was a way it was a way to understand those passions and to kind of see them before, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So Aristotle was okay with that. And then I forget everybody else. We got Hegel, Hume, Marx, we talked about a little bit. Marcuse is sort of the same thing. We talked more about Freud. Then we have the existentialists, who went more into that element that we're talking about, which is kind of what I'll get into. And that was Nietzsche, Sartre. So Nietzsche had an interesting quote, which was, what was it? We have art in order not to die from the truth. Was Nietzsche. Another fun quote was Fallico is in art everything is, nothing is becoming. So it's in a weird way it's the only place where time stands still, right? And then it kind of captures something. And then who was it? Kant. Kant was saying beauty is the promise of happiness.
Watch your mouth.
Beauty is the promise of happiness was Kant's take on it. I wanted to go down and have like a whole fucking list of things, but I didn't have time, as I said earlier.
That's okay.
But what I did have time to do was sort of question whether or not what I thought art was. Do you mind if I break them down? You guys can tell me.
Yeah.
You tell me whether or not I'm right or wrong.
We'll probe it.
I'll tell you how wrong you are.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard a convincing argument as to why you're right.
I'll probably tell you that what you're saying is art.
So I broke it down. The first question I said was, can anything be art? What do you guys think? Can anything be art? Sean says yes.
Yeah.
But it has to kind of get at the human condition.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be just like truly, outside of commerce.
Right. Okay. And then Joe is the exact opposite, where it can be anywhere. Anything can be art.
Yes.
Okay. Do you and you didn't you were unable to make a distinction before specifically? I came up with
as
some
far
possibilities.
as what?
Well, as far as the difference
commerce?
between not the commerce, but as far as the difference between art and not art.
Oh.
You said sort of you'll see it when you
No,
see
no,
it.
that's not true. I think anything
said beauty
can,
and then-
to answer your question about
Yeah.
can be, I'll say yes.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't think everything is.
Okay. Well, we'll just go there then. What is the thing that makes it art? Or does it have to begin as art, or can it become art?
What isn't art?
Right.
I mean, something that hasn't been turned into art yet, I guess.
Okay, but
A
what would be the
human
thing that
hasn't done
turns
it.
into art?
What'd you say?
What would be the thing that turns it into art?
A human designating it for a specific purpose of being consumed for blah 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 pleasure, or
Okay, got it.
intellectual
Okay,
belief.
fair enough. Okay, so
a human's got to set it for this purpose.
this is what I came up with, and I don't know. Let's just fuck around. I don't know, man. So I would say that art has to have one of the four qualities. Okay, that's one
damn.
of these four things.
He's got notes and everything.
And I did, man. I didn't want to forget this shit. It's important because we had basically I have this and we can talk about this, and then I wanted to address the other two things that we talked about in the Oscars episode and in the comedy episode.
Whatever,
and then we
nerd.
can fucking move on.
Go for it.
It's about art, man. So just like our morality question, we had to answer that shit before we can fucking move on, and now at least we have an answer for it. We still do not have an answer for this.
Nor will we.
Well, we'll see. I don't know, man.
Where will
Give it your best.
So here are the things. I don't necessarily think anything. I don't think anything can be art per se unless it falls under one of these qualities. We have the intention of expression. Okay, that's from the artist. We have the emotional connection that is either from the artist or the audience.
Okay.
We have the context. Okay, in other words, not necessarily the context in which it's produced.
Like the time period.
It could be history. It could be the place. It could any context in general.
Yeah, that's great.
And then we have the presentation element of it. Okay. So let me give you guys a crass example. It's going to be a little bit gross. I apologize.
I'm all for it.
Okay. So, and of course, it's more metaphorical than anything. Someone takes a shit. Okay. Someone takes a fucking shit. A log of shit.
I just like how you said that.
Okay. In and of itself, that's not art.
Mhm.
Right. I think we can all agree upon that. Yes.
Yes.
Right? It is shit.
Mhm.
Correct.
It is not art. It is a piece of shit, as we would call art.
Mhm.
Now, we have my four possible things, okay? I would say it would become art if the intention of the shit is a form of expression, okay?
Okay.
So whatever that catharsis is, let's just say there really is some sort of like exalting element of it, which of course oddly still falls under Sean's definition, which is fine. But there's this element of catharsis within the act of taking the shit. Nobody witnesses it, nobody sees it, but that person taking the shit is declaring this action of the shit art. Okay.
So like taking a shit on the Berlin Wall.
No, that's context.
Mm.
That's context. I'm simply saying the intention of expression. The person is taking the shit, expressing